most famous fugitive in Morocco's history. Not every revolutionary story ends with medals, nor do all heroes have statues built in their honor. Some names are erased from official memory, yet remain etched in popular memory like an unhealed scar. Ahmed Akouliz, better known as Sheikh al-Arab, was not just a man who took up arms against the French colonizer. He was a rare case of rebellion that spanned from the era of occupation to the years after independence, until he found himself hunted by the very homeland he had fought for. The story of Akouliz opens dark doors in Morocco's history, where the lines blur between patriotism and treason, between justice and revenge, between the voice of the tribe and the whip of the state. Was Akouliz a true revolutionary seeking to wrest dignity from the jaws of power, or merely a rebel who never knew where the line of the gun should end? In this video, we will return to Tata, to Rabat, to the mountains of Sousse, and the cells of detention centers, to untangle the threads of one of the most unusual and gripping life stories in modern Moroccan history. Stay with us until the end. And don't forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of our new content. Ahmed Akouliz was born in 1927 in the village of Akouliz, part of the Isafan tribe of the Sioux region, in Tata province, southeastern Morocco, into a humble family engaged in trade. He grew up in a rural environment governed by traditions and customs, where daily life was full of economic challenges. The family relied on small-scale commerce to make a living, which gave Ahmed a deep connection to his rural roots and traditional culture. From an early age, he absorbed the values that would shape his character: patience, perseverance, and respect for work. At the age of 12, Ahmed made an extraordinary decision for a child of his age: to walk more than 490 kilometers on foot to the capital, Rabat. The journey was full of hardships and dangers, yet his willpower was strong and his goal clear: to help his father in a small shop in Rabat. This choice reflected the spirit of challenge that would define his entire life and marked a decisive turning point as he began stepping into a wider world far from his small village. Upon arriving in Rabat, Ahmed began working at Sousse school, first as a cook, then as a general caretaker. Although the work was modest, it became a window to broad life experiences, bringing him into contact with people from various social backgrounds. This exposure expanded his awareness and deepened his understanding of the city's social and political reality. It also became the starting point for his awareness of the profound impact French colonialism had on Moroccan life. Over time, a strong patriotic spirit grew within him, along with the conviction that resisting colonial rule was a necessity. This marked the beginning of his journey into the Moroccan resistance movement against French occupation. In the early 1940s, as the liberation movement against French colonialism gained momentum, Ahmed Akouliz joined the ranks of the Moroccan resistance, becoming an essential part of the armed struggle against the occupation. Although this period witnessed the rise of many resistance factions, Ahmed Akouliz was far from a conventional fighter. He was a blend of soldier, political thinker, and popular poet. This balance between ideology and the battlefield made him stand out among the resistance leaders as one of the most influential figures of his time. His resistance carried a unique character, driven by a deep belief in the principle of freedom and the necessity of expelling the French from his homeland. This spirit of liberation was etched deeply in his heart and found expression in his popular poetry, which inspired people and stirred them to rise against injustice. His close ties to his tribe and Moroccan cultural identity were also reflected in his resistance efforts, making him a pivotal figure among the southern Moroccan resistance fighters. In 1951, a significant event occurred in Akouliz's life when the French protectorate authorities arrested him. The punishment imposed on him went beyond mere imprisonment. They sought to publicly humiliate him by forcing him to walk on foot from Rabat to his village in Tata, shackled at both hands and feet, in an attempt to break his spirit and intimidate him. But this harsh treatment had the opposite effect. Rather than destroying him, it deepened his resolve and strengthened his determination to continue resisting colonialism. In the summer of 1954, Ahmed Akouliz was arrested again, this time on serious charges involving possession of weapons and organizing assassination attempts against agents of French colonial rule. Such accusations at the time were enough to warrant a death sentence. However, prison did not mark the end of his resistance. It became a new platform for refining his character. During his time behind bars, Akouliz became a central figure among his fellow inmates, who nicknamed him Sheikh al-Islam, as a sign of respect for his devout faith and strict moral discipline. Despite the admiration the name carried, Ahmed Akouliz declined the title Sheikh al-Islam, preferring instead to be called Sheikh al-Arab, a choice that underscored his strong connection to his national and tribal identity. After Morocco gained its independence, Ahmed Akouliz did not see the end of colonial rule as the end of the national struggle. On the contrary, he considered independence to be the beginning of a new chapter of resistance, this time against forces that, in his view, had transformed into an authoritarian regime. For him, true independence had not been achieved. The new Moroccan state was merely a facade for an old form of domination, as some officials continued to employ repressive methods reminiscent of the colonial authorities. By 1959, complaints from the people of the South had increased, denouncing the violence and abuse inflicted by security forces and police officers in the region. These grievances were not merely passing protests, but a reflection of deep public resentment toward practices that reminded them of colonial oppression. In response to these conditions, Ahmed Akouliz decided to take an extreme step aimed at sending a clear political message. In 1959, he killed 2 police officers whom he accused of participating in the repression of citizens. While this act might have appeared to be personal revenge on the surface, Akouliz's motive was profoundly political. He believed the killings were an act of defending his people's legitimate rights and a protest against the transformation of the independent state into a tool of oppression rather than a force for justice and freedom. That same year, another action by Ahmed Akouliz reinforced his outright rejection of the new regime. He presided over a people's court in southern Morocco, a move that was a direct response to the failure of state institutions to deliver justice. In that court, 2 officers from the Liberation Army were sentenced to death on charges of raping women from the south. For Akouliz, this court was an expression of revolutionary justice, justice that no longer had a place in the political system that emerged in the post-independence era. In 1962, under the weight of Morocco's tense political climate in the years following independence, an unexpected meeting took place between Ahmed Akouliz, who was continuing his rebellion against the monarchy, and Mehdi Ben Barka, the leftist leader regarded as one of the most prominent opponents of King Hassan II's regime. The meeting was an attempt to unite the efforts of revolutionary and leftist forces, especially amid the rise of political authoritarianism, which Akouliz saw as a threat to freedom and social justice in Morocco. While Ben Barka sought change through political and organizational channels, Akouliz believed that the struggle required nothing less than outright revolutionary rebellion against the forces of oppression. Although the alliance between the 2 men did not last long, It reflected a shift in Akouliz's political thinking. This was an important step in the evolution of his understanding of Morocco's political struggle, as he began to recognize the necessity of unity among different factions if the revolutionaries were to make any real progress against the regime. By the summer of 1963, Morocco's political situation took an even more complex turn. The authorities uncovered what they described as a conspiracy, in which Ahmed Akouliz was named as one of the key suspects, allegedly aimed at eliminating prominent figures within the monarchy. As pressure mounted, Akouliz became a prime target for the security services, and orders were issued for his capture, forcing him to flee to Algeria. In Algeria, where he received support from certain political circles, Akouliz became one of the most wanted men for the Moroccan authorities. His flight was not merely an escape from security pursuit. It marked another transformation in his revolutionary identity. With accusations of attempting to assassinate King Hassan, two leveled against him during this period, Akouliz was now seen by the Moroccan regime as an existential threat, prompting a relentless manhunt that would only end in a tragic conclusion later on. In June 1964, after years of being pursued in Algeria, Ahmed Akouliz decided to secretly return to Morocco. He settled in the city of Casablanca, believing he had managed to slip back into Moroccan territory undetected. However, the authorities had not lost track of him. Despite his efforts to remain in hiding, the security services were aware of his movements, leaving his life overshadowed by constant anticipation and fear. One night, Moroccan police raided his residence in the city, sparking a fierce clash between Akouliz and his companions on one side and the security forces on the other. The battle was bloody. 3 police officers were killed, but under the cover of darkness, Ahmed Akouliz and his followers managed to escape. Although he had once again evaded capture, the noose around him tightened faster than ever, making his arrest or death increasingly inevitable. The days following the clash proved decisive. It became clear that the Moroccan authorities would not cease their pursuit until he was either captured or eliminated. On August 7, 1964, the long manhunt, filled with dramatic turns, came to an end. On that day, Ahmed Akouliz was killed by police gunfire under mysterious circumstances, the full details of which remain unclear to this day. Accounts differ on how he died. Some say he was killed in a gunfight during a police raid, while others claim it was a deliberate execution during an attempted arrest. After his death, his body was buried in a cemetery in Casablanca, but no headstone was placed on his grave. A deliberate gesture, signaling an attempt by the authorities to erase his name from the national memory, to diminish his symbolic impact on the Moroccan collective consciousness. Yet, despite these efforts, the name Ahmed Akouliz, or as he was popularly known, Sheikh al-Arab, was never erased from public memory. He remained a symbol of defiance and courage, a figure of resistance against authority, though opinions about him continued to differ. To some, he was a traitor or a terrorist. To others, a revolutionary hero who fought for his country and its dignity. Ahmed Akouliz was not only a national resistance figure, but also the subject of numerous rumors that helped create a complex and often contradictory image of him in the national memory. One of the most prominent rumors concerned his revolutionary and combat style. It was said that Akouliz relied exclusively on violence and armed confrontation to achieve his goals, a method that some described as extreme. His enemies went so far as to label him a terrorist who would not hesitate to use violence against anyone, including security forces and even innocent civilians. On the other hand, there were rumors claiming that Akouliz possessed exceptional skills in deception and evasion. Some alleged that he collaborated with foreign powers, particularly the former French colonial authorities or other external forces seeking to exploit Morocco's internal unrest for their own gain. These claims were partly fueled by accusations that he had formed alliances with certain Algerian military circles after independence, leading some to question his full loyalty to Morocco. Another rumor suggested that Akouliz aspired to establish his own state, aiming to overthrow the monarchy in pursuit of personal power. According to this theory, his resistance was not solely directed against French colonialism, but also aimed at creating a state under his control. This idea, supporters of the rumor argued, was reflected in his post-independence actions, where he refused to coexist with the new Moroccan state, which he viewed as mirroring colonial domination. Rumors also surrounded his death. Some claimed that Akouliz was not killed in the armed clash with police, as the official account states, but rather executed on direct orders from the monarchy in a targeted assassination. According to this version, the authorities feared he might reveal conspiracies in which he was allegedly involved with certain military figures, making him a threat to the stability of the regime. There was yet another rumor alleging that Akouliz was a key figure in the Algerian Revolution, and that he received material and logistical support from the Algerian government. This claim was based on his known connections with Algerian leaders after fleeing to Algeria, leading some to believe that his role in the Moroccan resistance was part of a broader liberation struggle in the region. In conclusion, Ahmed Akouliz stands as a symbol of courage and resistance against colonialism and injustice. He was not merely a fighter, but one of the faces of popular rebellion during a pivotal chapter in Morocco's history. While celebrated by many as a hero, the rumors surrounding him reveal the deep divisions and political tensions of the post-independence era. His story remains alive in popular memory, a blend of strength and controversy. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming content.